earmuff, you stay on hard.
A.D. Drew here, Black College Sports Network, SIAC Commissioner Anthony Holloman. How's it going, my brother?
A.D., it's good to see you. All is well, and welcome to Savannah to the SIAC basketball tournament.
Yeah, SIAC basketball tournament. Been on the job 6 months there, Dr. Holloman. So, how's it been? Has it been a whirlwind? Has it calmed down? How's it been?
So, you know, A.D., it's been a whirlwind. It's been exciting. It has been a pleasure to be able to do the work of the commissioner of the SIAC. I've been fortunate that Commissioner Greg Moore left the SIAC in a good, stable position so that I could take the ball and run. And so that's what we've done. We had a successful football season, successful SIAC championship game at Benedict, and Benedict finished the regular season a perfect 11-0 and was the #1 seed in the region. So we're excited from where we're at. Now we're in the basketball and our winter sports. So we're excited about being in Savannah. This is the first time, I guess, in 3 or 4 years that we have not been in Rock Hill. And bringing the tournament to Savannah is a one-off because we're looking to negotiate a multi-year deal moving forward. But bringing it to one of the campuses, I think, will reinvigorate our alums from our member institutions, because that's what it is about, to have a great student experience for our athletes and our alums in our institutions.
Speaking of A&O teams, you got a team playing here in the SIAC championship that went A&O on the women's side, that being Tuskegee. So having a undefeated football team in your conference, an undefeated basketball team in your conference. Are we gonna get into baseball too?
So, you know, A.D., that's the one thing that is impressive. When you have a coach that can run the gauntlet in a competitive league like we have, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, you know, it's impressive. And, you know, Tuskegee looked the part of a #1 seed earlier today. They were very impressive. They had the player of the year, the defensive player of the year. So they have a strong team. And, you know, the beauty of tournament play is one and done. And so I'm sure that they're going to have to play their best basketball to win the tournament. And I know they'll have stiff competition as the tournament goes on.
Speaking of one and done, you know, I've been around this SIAC basketball tournament for almost 20 years. And although the tournament has always seemed like it's stretched out forever, being a week-long tournament, one of the pleasantries of the SIAC tournament is there's always an early upset. A #1 or a #2 seed goes down in their first game after somebody had to play in to get to play them. So just talk about just the topsy-turviness of the tournament.
So I will tell you that the rigors of the regular season prepares the teams for tournament play. Even if you're not winning at the clip you want to, you're tournament tested when it comes time to playing these games. And, you know, one off shooting night, you know, your best player gets in foul trouble, then it becomes a game of mental toughness. And so last night, Benedict, you know, who has a strong women's program, was upset by Fort Valley.
And Clark Atlanta
upset by Lane
earlier this afternoon.
And you know, you have the one thing that I did notice. The coach at Fort Valley used to be a coach in the MEAC and had strong teams at South Carolina State. The coach at Lane used to be at Jackson State, where she had strong teams. And so you have experienced coaches making adjustments and putting their teams in a position to win. And so that is the beauty of tournament basketball. You know, I'm excited to see what the coming days bring. You know, now you have the number 1 and number 2 seeds taking the floor. And so, you know, it should be interesting because you always want to see the best teams playing the best at the right time.
Right. We talked about your first 6 months here on the job. What the next 6 months bring as you come up on your 1-year anniversary in the fall?
AD, my main focus now is to generate revenue to support the conference office as well as our member institutions. And so we're actively engaging partners, trying to ensure that we have the ability to we're trying to actively engage partners to form mutually beneficial partnerships that would help strengthen our financial position. We're clearly looking at media rights partners. You know, presently we have a deal with ESPN, but we're looking to bring more of our telecast to our fans. And so we know that you need multiple partners. And so we're going to be strategic in making those decisions on how we will move going forward. Of course, we will be looking to see whether expansion is on the horizon for the conference. You know, we have an odd number of teams with 15. We have 13 football playing schools. So, you know, clearly we'll be looking at the landscape and see who's applying for membership in Division II and whether it's a good fit for the SIAC. In addition, we're doing scheduling. We're working on a football composite that will take us out 4 years. And we're trying to secure locations for our SIAC championship football game, which will be a neutral site moving forward, as well as our basketball tournament. I'm looking for a multi-year deal with basketball. And so, you know, Savannah State was gracious to host us this year, but we will clearly consider Savannah, but we'll look at multiple options to see what's best for the conference moving forward.
All right. So you said the word expansion. Everybody in HBCU land knows Talladega is expected to try to make the move to Division II. So I have to ask you, Talladega, yes, no, maybe?
You know what, AD, Talladega College was a founding member of the SIAC. And so clearly, should they be successful in their move to D2, I'm sure they will be an institution that the SIAC will have some interest in. But you know, you have to go through the process of getting admitted to NCAA Division II. And so at this particular time, we don't have any plans to add a member, but we'll see, you know, what happens in the future.
All right. A recent article came out from SI.com ranking the most powerful African Americans in sports. And there was a group of individuals about halfway down on that page, the what do you guys call yourself? The Power Four. I wanted to make sure I coined you guys' term right. But mentioned the 4 commissioners of the 4 African American conferences that play in NCAA, 2 on the Division I level, 2 on the Division II level. Tell us about that article, what that article really means for not only your conference, but for HBCUs in general.
So, AD, the article was penned by Richard Johnson, and he ranked the 20 most influential blacks in college football. And so Deion Sanders was number 1, Mike Locksley was number 2, and the list included Gene Smith from Ohio State, Martin German from UCLA, James Franklin, and Jackie McWilliams Parker, Charles McClellan, myself, and Sonia Stills. And it's a testament to the collective strength that we have when we work together. And so we are adamant that we are going to work together to form alliances that let us leverage the strength of our member institutions. And so, I think that article was the first glimpse into the real power that we have as a collective. Now, we were ranked 10 through 13, and so, it was an honor to be on that list, but our goal is to move higher on the list as far as wielding influence over college athletics, because I think what you'll see is that the Power Five, those institutions stand unrivaled, but when you look at it and peel the onion back, the HBCU conferences are there with attendance and the metrics that our revenue sponsors are looking at. And so we do have a collective power. We have the brand recognition of institutions like Tuskegee and Morehouse out of my conference, Howard out of the MEAC, Jackson State out of the SWAC, and the CIAA has, Winston-Salem, Virginia Union, and other institutions.
Don't forget your alma mater.
And my alma mater, Johnson C. But, I think this is one of the things that, when we started to be strategic in how we moved and operated, then people take notice. And so I think this article is validation.
Right. Over the last couple of years, we've seen things such as the SIAC conference add men's volleyball. We've seen institutions like Fisk add gymnastics. We've seen Howard just won a swimming championship in CAA. So outside of the traditional sports and then the traditional Olympic sports, is there any plans to add other opportunities for student athletes as a conference?
So I would tell you, A.D., that the SIAC was on the forefront. When I was chair of the AD's Council, I worked with Commissioner Greg Moore to partner with USA Volleyball and the First Point Volleyball Foundation to add men's volleyball. So we're the first HBCU conference to have teams playing. We have 6 teams that are playing: Benedict College, Central State University, Edward Waters University, Fort Valley State University, Kentucky State University, and Morehouse College that are playing men's volleyball. And so I think what you're seeing is that we know that students are looking for opportunities to follow their passions. And so they're not all going to be bat and ball sports. And so when you look at men's volleyball, you look at wrestling at Morgan State, swimming. Right. So, those are sports that they're a little startup cost, and you're getting outside funders to provide resources to make it attractive. And so we're excited. Men's volleyball, Division I and Division II play together, and the maximum amount of scholarships is 4.5. So you could really create a nationally competitive program in a short amount of time. You just need to identify a setter, middle blocker, outside hitters, and so there are a lot of athletes.
You got a squad.
Right.
Yeah. All right. We've talked for a little while here. Anything that I did not ask you that you want to bring out, Dr. Holloman?
A.D., I want to sing the praises of the President's Council that I'm fortunate enough to serve. They have been great to work with and have the best interests of the SIAC in mind, and are willing to think outside of the box to give us the opportunity to do some creative things that will generate revenue that will support our institution, our student athlete experience. The SIAC is healthy, and the SIAC is looking forward to a bright future.
Well, I want to thank you, my brother, for giving me
For
this
sure.
time. We got a good basketball game going on, but this is the only time we can get in the media room without anybody bothering us. So
Absolutely.
we had to do it in the middle of a basketball game.
Absolutely. Thank you, A.D.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Howard.
The Cuvée consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com. All right, welcome back. It's the BCSN's broadcast here, a pregame show for the 2023 SWAC Baseball Championship. Brian Fulford here, and you can see now I've got the team of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Got the dean himself, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, and the man on the man on the ground. I'm still trying to find out the dugout man himself, right. Charles Bishop, reaching into areas that have not been touched before in terms of this broadcasting game, Charles. And so congratulations. Let's start there with, kind of how that concept came about, and then you kind of making that thing work and doing a great job of being that, boots on the ground guy to kind of move from dugout to dugout.
Sure. No, I really appreciate that, Brian. The SWAC, they're always being very innovative, and they give me an opportunity to be sort of the field reporter or dugout reporter, if you will. And I got an opportunity to build a great rapport with the coaches during the course of the tournament, to where they felt, pretty comfortable talking to me down there, especially while the ball was in play. So, no, I think it turned out really well in terms of being able to get some insight that fans really wanted to hear in terms of what they were thinking and how to strategize moving forward.
What innovation? I like that.
Yeah. What kind of caught you by surprise, or talk about just the accessibility and how comfortable, or maybe which day did you feel like maybe the coaches got really comfortable with, sharing information with you? Or I find it hard to maybe think that they were, comfortable from the jump, sure, because it's something that hadn't been done before.
Sure. And naturally, you will have a couple of coaches who are reticent, but what I found overall was the coaches were more than willing to talk, and were very glib. Both coaches today, Coach Hernandez and Coach Shoup, tremendous all week in terms of taking the bull by the horns and being able to talk through what they were thinking and how they were going to strategize moving forward. But for the most part, I let them know what inning that I'd be coming to them. So they were pretty prepared and they were ready to talk. And I'm very thankful to all the coaches for sharing their insight.
And you also had some great interactions with whether it be Charles, Edmond, and Coach Kadar, or Santoria and Coach Kadar. Talk about that interaction with staying abreast of things, which I thought was that was an added element that I wasn't expecting. Because, at first when I heard about, okay, so you're just going to be, jumping in a couple innings. But then when I heard you start interacting in the game, I'm like, oh, okay, this is next level. This is good stuff.
Yeah, and it really helps. I mean, Charles and Santoria, you talk about two professionals, and they are, the voices of the SWAC. People are very familiar with their broadcasting style. But then, working with a legend like Coach Kadar, and so it was very easy to kind of just talk to them and really get insight from Coach Kadar in terms of what he was thinking and how he would strategize in certain situations and whatnot. So it became very conversational, very, very easy broadcast to do.
I agree. I love it. As you said it appropriately, Bryan, innovation, innovative. Those are things that we need to continue to strive for. Sometimes they're going to be things that we have to pause because there are cost constraints around them. So we have to be mindful of that. But when we find a way to partner with folks that are serious about working their craft, folks that are serious about the business of HBCU sports, and oftentimes even more importantly, the SWAC in this particular instance, we need to do everything in our power to make it work.
Sure.
And so, I pushed it. And I don't think people understand what it takes to do this. This is not something that just happened yesterday, this week. This is multiple years in the making in terms of Charles working on his craft, building relationships. Credit to Andrew Roberts.
Yes.
Working with him over years to going back and forth with key dignitaries in the administrative level of what this would look like, how it may work, when would be the appropriate time to start it. And all those factors came together at this point, and you see the fruits of that labor. So I did want to share that this is not something that just happened yesterday or this week.
That's a good point.
And I want to take my hat off as well to James Crenshaw and in terms of leading the broadcast with the production. Tremendous work that he's done all week in terms of making sure that everything went off without a hitch, and he has done a tremendous job.
Next thing is we're going to have to work on quietly is miking up a referee or umpire, a head guy that kind of reviews plays and educates us on the correct play and why it was called from the experts.
Kind of that USFL type model.
Yeah, and you see it in NFL, NBA for years where they would now have a crew chief person that would come in, use this
a rules guy.
Rules guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of retired. But yeah, the latest version of this USFL. So, one thing that I appreciate, obviously we're here in the SWAC, so I want to show the appropriate love there. But I've had a chance to work with the MEA, the SIAC, and CIAAs. Those commissioners are open to ideas, but sometimes I think as fans, we throw ideas out there and think it needs to be immediate, and we don't know all the different areas of how it affects.
Sure.
And so I take that information as a carrier between those, but I also try to think about how you implement it actually. And again, I look at cost constraints. I look at the business model. Is it human capital capacity? Is it technology, a component of it? And oftentimes it may be multiple facets. But if you work with them and tell them, and sometimes I'm able to navigate the craft and tell them how they can do it within a financial reason. And when you put those things together, they tend to jump on it.
Good stuff. Charles, as it comes to these teams, Bethune and Florida A&M, what are some things that you have learned or gleaned from your conversations from these teams? Let's start with the Bethune side.
Bethune very easily, they take on the personality of their coach. I mean, it does not matter what sort of adversity that they face within this tournament. They are a very steady group. And if you take a look at, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much every game this tournament, they've been down early. But they stayed the course, and they have good quality at bats. If you take a look up and down the lineup, not a lot of guys who've hit a lot of home runs. They don't really steal a lot of bases, but they put the bat on the ball. And that's one of the things that Coach Cater has said all week, that you have to swing the bat and see what happens. And they have swung the bat very well. They've driven the ball back up the middle. They've hit the ball opposite way, and they've just moved runners along all week. They have been steady. They have been consistent. And, I take my hat off. Coach Hernandez has knocked off Jackson State. He's knocked off Southern and to knock off Grambling, all teams who are pedigree teams who've won SWAC championships.
Yeah, he's knocked. He's been the knocked off Southern once, Jackson State, Grambling twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's
been an impressive run.
He went through the whole West.
Went through the West.
He cleaned out the West.
He did, boy, did they?
Did Grambling twice, Southern twice.
Everybody but Texas Southern.
They split, but he cleaned it up. So that was pretty impressive when you talk about what he's getting done, especially to come through the losing bracket, and he did it the hard way after losing day one. Close game, 4-2 to Southern.
Exactly.
They were right there in it. And then the other thing in the last couple of matchups, they've been their cardiac kids where they've been able to do it late in ball games.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten one of the key things I always try to tell people about the tournament is that you just never know. There's usually going to be a couple of unsung heroes, oftentimes on the mound, big bat here and there that gets a crucial 2-out RBI or multiple RBI to get you either the lead or to finish it out late. And he's come from behind. He's got some pitches that went deep. And you see that on FAMU side, which is the other reason why they're here. But you talk about somebody that comes in that you're thinking may give you an inning or two, at the most maybe 3. Many of them giving you 6, 7 innings, sometimes into the 8th. That's everything.
I think that's been the biggest thing when you take a look at this FAM baseball team. And you to your point, Doc, you take a look at the guys who have started ball games for them in this tournament. They've given them 7 innings, 6 innings. The young man, Raylan Wagner, he stands out. He went 8 1/3. He gave up, I believe, 6 runs, but he kept them in the game. He kept wiggling them out of jams. And it was just a yeoman performance when they had to have it to just get to the game that could get them to the championship game.
You mentioned that FAMU pitching, which really I feel like that's that group, the group of Raylan Wagner, Trey Simmons, and I guess I'd probably even say Dallas Tees.
Yeah.
3 guys who won games. Tees went 7 innings. Simmons went 6 yesterday in the semifinal. And you mentioned Wagner, who went 8 1/3. Guys that, I'm not going to lie, look, we weren't really sure. I'm saying we, Rattler Nation, but a lot of people weren't sure what those guys were going to do.
We question the arms. Let's be frank. It's what we hear of professionals. It's not to beleaguer the young men that worked their heart out. But in terms of what we saw on paper with statistics.
Coming into the weekend,
And that's what we do. Kudos, shout out to Mike, as he's not here. He would have told you data points. And that's why you look at data points, because these indicators. Now, they're just that. They're indicators of what will probably happen. That's why you give folks even more kudos when they go above and beyond what the expectation in terms of what the data says they are supposed to deliver. So kudos to what they were able to do.
All right, fellas, I want to note something. FAMU is in the first base dugout today. And one thing that I've noticed throughout this tournament, it seems like whoever's in that first base dugout has been the victor most of the ball games. So,
it's a good point.
Just throwing something out there to everybody.
Baseball is a game of superstition, AD. So that's one I hadn't thought about.
Drew,
but
look,
we'll go with it.
Have you done
People get comfortable too.
Yeah.
And baseball is a game, as you know, playing it, a while back, is oftentimes the more comfortable you are, the more that you're able to deliver, which is the finer things that we're really looking at. So while we may just see it as, superstition, when you really dive down into it, we're talking about how you feel. And no matter what sports or what level, the better you tend to feel, the better you tend to perform, because your mind is this is about your mind, where you are. These guys have played 5 games. They are tired. I don't care what anybody says. You can't plan for this. Yeah, you have off-season workouts and the sales good. We'll put that cliche in there, talking about how much they work, but everybody works. Sometimes it's about how do you push through and how do you make that good break. We were watching the game with my brother-in-law, nephew, and Deuce. As you know, many people have gotten some of his commentaries, fell in love with it. We were down there late, and you had some Grambling folks, Bethune folks, just to give an example. And the lady said, man, that was a lucky play. And I think the gentleman misread what she was saying that the kids weren't lucky. And he's saying where the ball was hit, because the ball hit perfectly.
With that double
Great
play.
play that he dove and caught the ball.
And
Yes,
just
the
have
double
to
play.
land on
And
first
he
base.
landed on first place. So the play in itself was outstanding. But the ball being there where he could react in such a way to make the play is luck. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need fortune. You know, frankly, luck in tournament. It doesn't mean that the team is not playing well.
One other thing, at no point in time during the season do you play 6 games in a 4-day span.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, you kind of have to have that Iron Man mentality once you get to tournament play. So
yeah, especially if you get that loss.
Yeah, once you get in that
there's
losers
a
bracket,
case you can get in that winner's bracket, and that's why you lean to what and have to give even more credit for FAMU and Bethune-Cookman being able to get 2 on Friday. That doubleheader after playing 3-some games. Usually, even if the game is not won by the undefeated team in the first matchup, usually they're able to come back later in that game and get it because just the dead legs, tiredness kicks in. So I'm fascinated to see the matchup, and it happens to be the fact that it's the Florida Classic. Second year of these programs in there. You can't get better if you're a true person of the SWAC. And I'm sure from the commissioner's office, in terms of integrating teams into a conference and expansion, I'm talking about at any level. You love to see this take place from that person. Obviously, you may have a sweet spot for your teams and those blue bloods, barring a term. I like to say black bloods to turn away from everything whiteness, but that's a whole different discussion. But from that perspective, when you talk about it, it's like this officially integrates you in terms of playing at the level. FAMU has the unique chance, and I know you brought this up in one of the questions you had, A.D. Drew.
Hold that thought. Let's come back with those storylines on the other side, Doc, because it's time for our second break.
Okay.
How about that?
No problem.
All right, we'll take a short 2-minute break.
We call that a tease in the
Cut y'all just in time.
All right. Let's take a short 2 minutes here.
I like that tease,
you're watching the BCSN preview of the 2023 SWAC Championship baseball game between Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman.
Troy?
Up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working. Head and Shoulder Scalp Shield. Never not working.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Q Time is a classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to our live coverage from Birmingham, Alabama, 2023 SWAC Football Media Day. Let me see. I'm going to try to see if I can do this correctly because I'm looking at the screen. So from your left to right as you're watching, of course, we got Mo Carter, WZDX in Huntsville, Alabama. Charles Bishop, of course, from the SWAC Digital Network. Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Of course, I'm Brian Fulford. Here's BJ Jones here. BJ with the new show. Let's give the name of the show that's going to be coming up this fall here.
X's and O's, man. Myself, Joshua Sims, and Miss Erica Rochelle.
Looking forward to that. And, of course, Dr. Cavill. And
inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington. He's out on assignment. I don't know how you get assignment from SWAC Football Media Day with Charles Bishop. He picked up a new assignment, which is a whole different discussion. But I'm going to let him make it. The brothers, you see what they did to me. But
double dipping.
And then A.D. Drew, of course, BCSN SportsWrap, also with a new show debuting this fall.
We'll be covering SIAC football.
Awesome. Still working. Names work in progress.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Work in progress.
That means y'all in the lab back there.
Yeah, we working in the lab.
As in inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Get it?
All right, they can throw some suggestions in the chat.
Inside.
Okay, so as SWAC Media Day concludes, it's been a busy day here. Most of the coaches have departed. Most of the players departed. And it just leaves folks to break down and for guys like us to kind of analyze and think about what we heard. So we'll just start with Mo and kind of just go down the line and say.
Before he does that, I want to throw one thing in there.
Oh, please, go ahead.
And the only reason I want to do this is because I don't want to forget it because it's been one of those days.
Yeah.
This is the reason, the impact that we have here. We got to find a way to stretch this to 2 days. I'm going to put that plug in. Everything else was great.
How long have I been saying that, Drew?
We got to find a way to
get
this 2 days.
2 years now.
So we can really get to everybody because everybody gets a part of everybody and they get who they really need, but you can't quite get to everybody. That's the only thing I would like to add to it. But go ahead.
And as the growth, I mean, what do you guys think about possibly opening it up to fans as well?
That's another good piece.
I mean, if we're going to open it up to 2 days, I mean, you might as well allow fans an opportunity.
And the thing about it, if you do that, financially, that's the thing you can do where you could actually charge for that part of it.
Yeah.
So you can create another revenue generating component of it.
Exactly. Okay, so let me back up. You made me bring up something instead of getting to what we saw.
Okay.
Let's start with the order of finish and what we saw. And so obviously Florida A&M predicted first in the East, but five of the 6 teams received a first place vote.
That's correct.
Over on the West side, Southern University with the most first place votes, and again, 5 of the 6 receiving first place votes. So, Mo, we'll kind of start your way and then go by.
Let me get this while everybody doesn't have that in front of you since you bring that up.
Thank you.
6, Bethune-Cookman, 34 points. 5, Mississippi Valley State, 35 points, 2 first-place votes. We were teasing about that earlier. Who were those 2? We want to meet them. Number 4, Alabama A&M, 73 points, 2 first place. I said that.
He swears it is not.
Who maintain the field.
And they can't vote for themselves.
That's what Doc swears. I don't know about that, though. Let's keep going.
Alabama A&M, 73 points, 2 first-place votes. Number 3, Alabama State, 80 points, 2 first-place votes. And number 2, Jackson State, 94 points, 2 first-place votes. I was surprised they only got 2. Not necessarily surprised they picked second. Florida A&M, 116 points with 16 first-place votes on the SWAC West, starting from ascending to the top. 6 was Arkansas Pine Bluff, 33 points. Number 5, Prairie View A&M, 68 points, 2 first-place votes. Number 4, Grambling State, 69 points, 2 first-place votes. Number 3 is Texas Southern, 73 points, but only 1 first-place vote. Intriguing. Number 2 is Alcorn State, 94 points with 6 first-place votes. Southern, 122 points with 13 first-place votes. Thing that came to mind that we talked about, Brian, earlier, Southern had more points but less first-place votes. When you look at, they only had 13 first-place votes, but I had a total of 122 points, while FAMU had more first-place votes, 16, but only 116 points.
So, break that, your thoughts on that order, and then maybe your order of finish or your prediction, if you're free to give one, Mo.
Mo, pull your mic up a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, you good. You good.
We got you.
I used to really do it. Okay, so when I kind of look at my SWAC predictions, I had the East, FAMU, but then I actually had a 3-way tie. I had Alabama A&M, Jackson State, and Alabama State. I think somewhere in that mix, all of them are going to beat each other, and then I think those cross-division things are going to cause them basically
somebody.
Yeah, cause somebody, and FAMU will have knocked those opponents out of the way to get to the championship game. In the West, I have Alcorn as my top team, just because I've seen Fred McNair as the coach for so long, and we're not used to seeing him being down so long.
Yeah.
I think he's really cooking up something down there on the reservation, to be honest with you, out in the West. And I got Southern in second, Prairie View third, Texas Southern fourth, Grambling fifth, and UAB sixth. Now, there's no knock to Grambling being that down four, but to be honest with you, even from what I heard from Coach Hugh today, I'm unsure what they're bringing to the table. I'm really unsure what they're bringing to the table. When I talked to Coach Drake from UAPB, once again, he's like, look, we got a lot of newbies, so we don't know what's going to happen or whatever with that. So I think even though we have a lot of teams returning, I still think that there's a lot. We're not just going to know about a lot of these teams until they hit the gridiron moving forward. That was even me, like, doing interviews one-on-ones today as well. There's a lot of uncertainty across the board. I don't know if I'm the only one that kind of picked that up, but I definitely picked that up.
All right. Charles, what's your analysis of the rankings and prediction, if you're able to give one? Or
He got a cheat code, though. He got to talk to everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
The only one on the set.
But you know, it's very interesting. I think the thing that jumps out for me, I think obviously Jackson State's come back to the pack a little bit. Parity jumps out for me. But I don't know. For me, has FAMU found a running game? I mean, that's the thing that stands out for me, in terms of, I realize they're picked to finish first, and they are a very formidable team, but, it's just like everybody. I see some gaps.
17 offensive linemen returning. To a Power 5 transfer from Nebraska, along with a returning, and then the running back. I mean, it's all health related, but yes, I think the running game will be improved. It can't get worse. It was the worst running game of the SWAC last year, averaging 94 rushing yards. It will not be that bad this year.
Here's the one that is sort of my dark horse and a little scary. They were the top rushing team in the SWAC last year. It's crazy. And I think what hurts is they go on the road to Southern and Alcorn, but I read a stat, out of their 5 losses, they were up at halftime in 3 of those 5 losses. So if they can figure out a way to finish to play all 4 quarters.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a team that is sort of a dark horse team. And of course, everybody's talking about Texas Southern is the buzz team.
And nobody's focused on them, to your point, in terms of Prairie View. Nobody's focused on them.
Yeah.
So they can just go about their business.
They can go about their business. They should be able to just slide right on the weeds. And if they can get through something, that first road game this all. God, that's going to be a.
That's the key.
Oh yeah, that's
good.
Early.
Yeah, we'll know. We'll know pretty early.
I'm making no predictions in the East. Last 2 years, I made predictions in the East, and so I said,
what did you have?
Doesn't matter who I had in the East. Doesn't matter. But I said going in this year, I'm not making any predictions in the East. Now on the West side, though, this year I'll predict Southern. I predict. Let me see. And now the reason I'm going with Southern again, the only other team that had a top 3 offense and defense last year outside of Jackson State was Southern. And if you tell me Southern found a quarterback, which I listen to Carlos Brown thinks they got a quarterback. Everybody else thinks they have a quarterback. We didn't get to talk to Coach. You talked to Coach Dooley, right? Does he have a quarterback? Okay, so
it's the best quarterback to coach though for the team. It's the best quarterback
you know
in
what?
Southern to coach.
The quarterback coach, that's another guy they brought in, a quarterback coach. I'll let BJ talk about it in a second. That's another reason why there's enthusiasm for Southern. So I will say this. Texas Southern is the team, yes, that should be trending into the right spot where people should be talking. They got a tough stretch, which I know Doc may talk about, but I'm going Southern in the West.
And what? Yeah, they are.
That's why I'm picking them, man. Like, I haven't heard much about them.
The thing I will say about Southern is their schedule is so favorable. They have Jackson State at home. I know it's a non-conference game, but right. And I was just gonna say that it's gonna go a long way if they can get that done in terms of how they feel about the team. They got FAMU at home. Mm-hmm. They got Prairie View at home.
Game for
they
FAMU.
got Texas Southern at home. They do have to go the road to Alcorn, but in regards to some of their toughest games, divisional-wise, even in terms of FAMU that's favored on the other side, they got them at home. So if they can get and do what they need to do at home, they certainly are going to be in the mix.
BJ, your take on the standings and any predictions that you care to share?
I initially, if you would have asked me all the way up until Saturday, Friday, whatever it was, I would say FAMU in the East, right? That's on paper they should. I'm stern with this. Championship teams, what happened? Championship teams don't make that mistake. The leadership in the locker room is built completely different. Championship teams are on a mission. That's not a mistake that championship teams make. Not saying that they won't win it, but they kind of gave me a room for pause.
Gave you pause, okay.
Gave me some room for pause. I think that this year, both in the East and the West, I don't think this thing is going to be decided till late November. I don't think it's a situation in the East where you got a two-horse race. And I think if you could have thrown a dart at 4 schools in the West, and if I would have told you that they would have gotten the number 1 vote, no one would be shocked. To me, my sleeper team was Grambling State, because one of the things that they were missing was quarterback. You bring Miles Crawley into that offense, and his ability to be able to push the football down the field with that defense, coupled with those receivers and that running game, I think Grambling might have some special down there.
I like that. That's good stuff in a lot of ways. This is what I got. And you know me, I like to overthink all this data analytics. It's too much. So y'all just bear with me. I went down to every schedule. I sat up there on that Friday when you got a blink and thought differently. Mm-hmm. I did the thing, but I was just analyzing matchups. As I told you, who has home, who's on the road, neutral site, classic game, who won last year in terms of maybe the get back type of factor. And this is what I end up coming up with. I have in the Western Division, 6, Arkansas Pine Bluff. I have them going 1-10, 0-8 in the conference.
Yikes.
Number 5, I have Texas Southern 5-6. Can't get to that winning season. I got them 4-4 in the conference. I have a 3-way tie for number 2 with Prairie View A&M at 6-5 overall. They get a winning record, but only good enough to tie for second at 5-3. Along with Southern at 6-5, 5-3. Grambling State tied with them also, but at 7-4 and 5-3. I have number 1 Alcorn State Braves at 7-4 in terms of overall season, finishing at the record at 6-2 in terms of their record there. In the Eastern Division, I have Mississippi Valley State 2-9, 1-7. They get that victory over Pine Bluff that shuts Pine Bluff out, or that 1-1. Number 5 is Bethune-Cookman at 2-9, 1-7. At number 4, Alabama State at 5-6. Can't quite get to a winning season at 2-6 in conference, where it really falls apart. At number 3, Jackson State at 8-3, 6-2. Tied, if you would, in terms of the conference record with Alabama A&M at 8-3, 6-2. FAMU getting out of the Eastern Division at 9-2 at 7-1. As you said, I have it pretty close in terms of that, so you can see a game here and there can really flip this. But if it stays the way it is, I do have FAMU hosting Alcorn State for the SWAC championship game in Tallahassee. For a new transition of the history of the SWAC. Be fascinating to see if that comes.
Championship game hadn't been outside of Mississippi since 2018.
That's correct. That's why I said it changed.
Good point. Drew, what do you got?
Starting in the East. No, I'm going to start in the West. I've got UAPB coming in with a 2-6 record in conference. Texas Southern 3-5. Grambling State 4-4. Prairie View 5-3. Southern 6-2. But I do have a beaten FAMU.
Okay.
And Alcorn State coming in with number 1 at 7-1.
Take your alumni card.
No, we got to go to Alcorn.
They got to go Alcorn. It's the first time they get it back.
19.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I said that was. Remember, I said they had a good schedule, favorable schedule, other than on the road.
I really do think that's going to be the blemish on the FAMU conference record this year. Is their trip to Baton Rouge this year. Starting in the East, Valley 1-7, Bethune 3-5, Jackson State and Alabama A&M tied at 4-4, but Jackson State getting the tiebreak
4-4
because of the head-to-head.
Them a lot of losses, man.
Yeah.
Tough conference opponents.
Alabama State 5-3, and FAMU coming in 7-1.
So you got two teams at 7-1. You're gonna have some interesting tiebreaker to see who hosts.
Right.
Because they don't play each other.
Exactly. And that's why I couldn't tell you where this game's going to be hosted at.
So let me ask this question. We've heard about everybody's strengths today.
Yes.
If you go around, what are some teams' weaknesses?
Okay. I like that. Great question.
I'll throw one
Start
out.
there.
Question. Only 4 teams have a returning starting quarterback. So we've got 8 teams out there. Some of them we think we know what the situation the quarterback is, and some of them, even after today, we have no clue what their quarterback rule looks like and who's going to be QB1 for some of these teams. So I'll throw that out there, and that's for all the teams. And those 4 teams: Texas Southern, Prairie View, Florida A&M, and Alabama State have their starters coming back.
You're talking contenders or just in general?
In general, because
Okay.
I think one of the things, hope springs eternal
Yeah.
in every media day. So
Yeah.
you hear all these positives, but you never really know where the gaps are,
Mhm.
with teams. And that's why I asked. I said, well, I see FAMU, number 1, and they look the part on paper, but for 2-3 years we've been talking about a running game, and I still haven't seen a running
Well, hold on. It hadn't been 2-3 years. It was.
I mean, they didn't have Bishop Bonnet that year.
It's been every other year,
It's been
Charles.
every other, over the
Every
last
other
4
year.
seasons for Simmons. It's every other year. Yeah.
They better hope this the other year. Better hope this the other
Technically,
year.
DJ,
it is.
It is.
They should.
It is. This is the year where it trends up. So yeah,
Based on past pattern.
this is where it trends up. This is where it trends up.
I got one also I want to throw out. I think FAMU could actually wind up, if they lose the OBC to Jackson State, I think FAMU could rebound from the loss and still win the East more than Jackson State could if they lose the OBC and win in the East. I think FAMU has a better chance to rebound and still win the East with the loss in that opening game. The other big game on opening day is Prairie View, Texas Southern. I think that's going to be the OBC in the West. Whoever loses that game can pretty much hang it up in the West.
My exact point.
I don't know.
Because
I just think the West is so deep that they're going to beat each other up. So I think it's going to come down the stretch. We saw it last year where we thought that game was going to mean everything. And Prairie View, obviously, if they won that last game in Valley, they were good and they would have made it through with any problems. You get to the second one, Texas Southern would have won after that. They won it. But even if Southern would have lost to Grambling, you had a 3-way tie.
Yep.
Texas Southern would have been the representative. So that Labor Day Classic did not hurt them in terms of what was going on overall in that mix.
In the 3-way scenario, it
favored them. So,
but in any other 2-way scenario, they would have been on the wrong side of it.
but they weren't going to be tied with Prairie View. If they won that, they would have won outright.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm saying, it wouldn't hurt them in that factor. But to your question in terms of deficiencies, I'm going to go with just the teams I selected, number one. Keep it simple. Alcorn State Braves, obviously the question is this transfer everything that everybody said in terms of the quarterback? We know this should be solid in terms of the backfield. The offensive line is matured. They got a little more depth, so you got to at least feel comfortable about that. And anything else, they should be able to run the ball. If they can get anything from the quarterback position, they're going to be in a position that many people think in terms of them being quiet. The other thing you got to question is their defense. You think it's going to be solid, but are they going to be able to take the next step to be able to create more turnovers to help that offense as that quarterback gets hit, in terms of what he's going to do? FAMU, I think y'all put it out there pretty clearly. Can they run the ball? Can they help Musa in regards to allow him to be effective as a pocket passer? And anybody's quarterback best friend is the running game. So offensive line, it comes down that trenches. We say that much. You should feel pretty comfortable with what they should be able to do on the offensive line. But the question is, are they going to be able to run the ball effectively? They have some workhorses down there that you would think they should be pretty good, but until you see it, it's going to be a question mark. Defensive, you got to feel pretty comfortable. They're going to be right there in the mix. They can, slide up, slide down. You're still going to be pretty comfortable there. So that's what I would say deficiency in terms of those top teams. Just overall, I think there's so many unknowns about this season. This was my most difficult time of picking where teams would be in terms of particular 5 up to 1. I think you said this earlier. It would not surprise anybody sitting up here if we would really open that Texas Southern that I have number 5 comes out the West.
No.
You would not be surprised about that. You might be a little shocked here and there, but it would not totally be like, how did that happen? Prairie View comes out of there. You'd be like, yeah, I done made that argument. Southern, certainly going to be like, yeah, we can see that. They were just there. Grambling State might have a little bit of pause, but it's not going to totally. They bounce back, as Charles says all the time. They find a way. They don't stay down too long, and they have some tools there. Quarterback play, they're going to be right there, and certainly Alcorn. So there's 5 teams that you can see in the Western Division that would not surprise you if they find in the championship game. And I think if you go over to the Eastern Division, I see 4. Y'all might argue 3, but I don't think it would totally surprise you if Alabama State ends in the championship game. Alabama A&M gets there. You certainly wouldn't be surprised if Jackson State or FAMU is there. So I think the depth in the conference is another one that would answer your question in terms of what are some deficiencies, just how deep, I should say, the conference is this year.
I would say deficiencies, I'm going to just hit it from up top. FAMU, you got to be able to run the football. Their offensive line, from a point of attack standpoint, they were not good as far as run blocking. You didn't saw them exert their dominance at the line of scrimmage. And they're going to have to be able to do that if you want to be a championship team. For Jackson State, there's so many unknowns, so much productivity that they lost, bringing in a bunch of talented guys. Still a lot of question marks there. For Alabama State, it's about the quarterback position, and can you replace those pieces on the interior defensive line that you lost from a year ago? Because those guys were important. They kept Bubba clean. So he was able to flow all across the field and make, 100-plus, tackles. Now we go over to the West. Texas Southern, can that defense take another step up? And does Andrew Body have the weapons on the outside to get the ball to? And can the offensive line protect them?
Yeah.
That's the question.
That's going to be the question. For Prairie View, consistency from offense and consistency from the
both sides of the ball.
Both sides of the ball. For Alcorn, who is Alcorn? Is it the Alcorn that got boat raced by Grambling? Or is the Alcorn that showed up against Jackson State? Who are they? If they can get the quarterback position figured out, also on the defensive line, certain games they couldn't stop the run. Certain games they could. Certain games they couldn't stop the pass. Certain games they could. We don't know there. And for Southern, do you have a quarterback How do you look on the quarterback, and how do you replace those pieces that you're missing on the defensive line? And then with Grambling, can you piece it all together around Miles Crawley? Does your strengths from last year remain your strengths? Insert the quarterback, and now you're a championship team, or you insert Miles Crawley, and then something else falls apart. So I think that's going to be the question there.
I like that. Great breakdown.
You know, that was great, BJ, by the way. I turn to coaching, and I hate to call it, you talk about weaknesses, and I guess when I think about coaching, I go to which coach or coaches do you trust? You know, who do you think is the coach that's going to be able to take, whether it be this new transfer at the quarterback position, and turn him into something positive that works for their team? Who is it that's going to be able to overcome their deficiencies?
I'll jump out there.
In play calling, you know.
I don't know who wants to answer that one, but I'll jump out there.
I just maintain. Look,
the one that I trust, I get you. I know exactly where you're going. The one that I trust the most is because he's done it before. It's Fred McNair.
That's where I was starting.
Everybody else,
yes.
I got a question mark.
Yeah.
Because you hadn't shown me that you've closed that gap in terms of getting it done. I've seen a lot of them get right to that finish line and do it. And a lot of them, I wouldn't be surprised they find a way to get it done. I like it. Even Maynard, you know, you can put that little question mark in there in regards to the fact that he did it during the spring season, which was shortened. You know, I'm not taking the credit from the championship, but over the long haul, that changes. So the only one I have that type of confidence for is Fred.
And see, that's where I was going with. That is the even with Coach Simmons.
I love Coach Simmons.
I do too. And like I said,
Julia, I love Coach Maynard.
That's
and
going
you ask me the questions that I have the most confidence in. I love what I believe T.C. Taylor is going to do. He hadn't been there chair before. I think he'll get it done. But if you ask me who I have most confidence in, keyword most, it's going to be Fred McNair.
That's same here.
I can definitely agree with you on Fred McNair because he's been there, done that as well as a head man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly, Coach Dooley has been on a staff like that. Coach Maynard's been in different spots, but not truly in the SWAC or whatever. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yep. All of them have.
With that situation, that's another reason why I have Alcorn coming out of the West to be the rep this year.
Yep.
Can I change my pick? No, I'm just kidding. I talked myself out of Southern, so I'm sorry, BJ.
Yeah.
One thing I can say, though, you know, it's kind of just like looking at whatever. We talked about this last year about like those stretches where it could be of importance. Here's something I want everyone to take a look at. Look at the weekend of October the 28th for the people who are contenders. Alcorn plays host to Valley. On paper, we know what that is, but we know how big
I feel you.
it's up for any whatever team. You know, Jackson State goes to Arkansas Pine Bluff. We got the Magic City Classic here. Prairie View goes to Florida A&M. Texas Southern
Homecoming.
Southern, and Bethune-Cookman goes to Grambling. Now look, let's go to week 10 when you go into that first week of November. Valley, quick road trip Thursday night at Bethune-Cookman. Then Florida A&M's in Huntsville. Imagine what happens if Alabama A&M knocks off Alabama State, and then this is a game for first place in the East in Huntsville.
Nice.
Now I think
great setup.
ESPN list or whatever. You take a look at Texas Southern at Jackson State, UAPB at Prairie View, Southern at Alcorn, Grambling State versus Alabama State down in Mobile. So you take a look at what that late October, early November stretch could be, and I really do think that you could have both sides determined late in the season and not really early in the season.
I agree, totally. I think it's going to go down the stretch. In those 2 weeks, something to keep our eyes on early. Thanks for that. I'll highlight that in my box now.
I got one. Will we, as usual, be waiting on the Bayou Classic to determine the West winner? You know, because usually one, if not both of thth teams are in contention.
I'll put it this way. I hope not.
For my predictions, yeah, absolutely. I hope not.
But
it's real. I mean,
that has been the case. I think 16 out of the last 21, 22 years.
Yeah, one, if not both teams. You were waiting on it.
Senior year with that same situation.
Yeah. Charles, what if you gonna get in there and say that had you pondering? I was like,
Well,
oh,
you know, I mind racing here, but a quick question. Player not named Jeremy Musa or Sundiata Anderson that could be player of the year when the season is done, or defensive player of the year when the season is done?
I am shocked.
Jarvion Howard.
I am shocked that that Bubba down at Bama State won preseason defense player of the year. I am shocked. I think he is one, and I think for the offensive player of the year, for me, it wouldn't shock me for it to be Jarvion Howard. Keep your eye on England at Alabama A&M.
It's because the running back's not sexy.
Yeah.
I got to go with a quarterback. I'm gonna go with Andrew
Body.
So you said other than Musa?
I said other than.
Oh, okay. No, I'm with you, BJ. It's funny. It made me think about this. I talked to Zach over there, Blue Bloods, and we were talking about. And I remember I brought this question up about Jarvion Howard, and as much as I'm excited the fact that Jeremy Musa was the preseason offensive player of the year. If the best offensive player in the SWAC is Jarvion Howard, I don't care that he is a running back. You're going to tell me he's not the best offensive player? Like pound for pound, if you were having a fantasy draft, you're not taking that dude number one?
If I'm the GM in the NFL, no.
I tell you what.
But
Take
no,
Jarvion Howard away from that offense a year ago, and where it's all going.
There is no.
No, seriously, he's
Yeah.
a real deal.
Yeah.
But I think you can make an argument either way. That you could. I wouldn't have been mad if he was preseason player of the year.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know when's the last time
So
a
are you
running
mad
back.
that?
No, I'm happy for Jeremy. But it was predicted. I kind of thought there was only two guys who might get offensive player of the year. It was either going to be Andrew Body or Howard. I mean, really, there was only three guys because I know how this. Whoever we know it's the SIDs and the coaches, right? So they usually go to script. Yeah. Now, it'd be interesting if it were media, it'd be something different.
Yeah.
I think, but they usually goes to script where look, Musa was second team last year. He's the returner. FAMU's predicted to be number one. Okay, so I mean, we've seen that.
I will throw one additional plug in there. If Prairie View, as some people predicted, is going to find a way to have the consistency that they have, particularly also Trayvon Conley, will be the reason why, and therefore he will be postseason player of the year.
I got one for you, Charles.
But did you answer his question though?
Yeah, I said
Howard. You said Howard. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely said Howard. There's this talk about you guys not having a drop off at quarterback in Jackson. That you got somebody who can spin that ball just as good as the guy who left and went to Colorado for you guys.
There's a reality. Shador Sharon has left huge shoes.
Yeah.
And I will say this about what they said about Jackson's incoming quarterback. They're excited about what he brings to the table. I saw firsthand what Shador brought to the table away from being under the center. There was so many times he had diagnosed what you were trying to do to him before the plays even called.
Yeah, I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves in terms of just how talented he was. And I think because we get enamored in terms of these elusive quarterbacks, because they, for lack of better words, we've heard this out here is sexy in terms of what it looks like. The same problem you have with quarterbacks in general over a running back. I think that's part of it. And Shador was so talented that he didn't look spectacular. He just always made plays and get stuff over.
He made it look easy.
He's so cerebral. And I think
Peyton Manning-esque.
that is what separates great quarterbacks.
But he trained under that knowledge.
Yes.
So he had the ability to get that, and I don't think we ever have given him credit to that level because of all the quote-unquote noise around him.
Yeah.
Right? And that was part of it. So I think this kid could maybe be better, and better from the fact that he might bring more things to the table in terms of being more dynamic, but just a better quarterback, I can't see that. I can't see that.
Also, Bryan, you asked when was the last time a running back was player of the year in the SWAC?
Yes.
I got to go back at least to 2014. Malcolm Cyrus from Alabama State was co-SWAC player of the year.
Okay.
With a quarterback, I'm sure. With a quarterback, I'm sure.
When Southern had the running back
Tillery
Tillery
didn't never get it, did he? I don't think Tillery ever got it.
Yeah, if he
I
didn't
don't
get
think
it,
he
you
ever
in
got
trouble with running back.
I'm just saying. I'm
I don't
just,
think he ever got it.
He may have, but like he was a dude. But I'm saying, and he's the SWAC's all-time leading rusher.
That's what I'm saying. He does.
That ball high, ain't it?
That boy, I'm glad he gone.
I don't say that Cyrus did back in 2014. Not with Cyrus. We ended up going and playing in Canada, but you gotta look at the team. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I ain't sure if Taylor got it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll keep researching. You guys keep going.
BJ, dog day. What are they gonna bring to the table?
Oh man, I think that you're going to see defense that have really matured in the secondary, particularly at the cornerback position. Like what we got there, I think the linebacker position was the most improved position, and that's just shout out to Coach Terrence Graves, and our defensive coordinator there, man. I think the defensive line is going to be nasty. You got a bunch of new faces up there that went and got some guys that can plug the middle, and you got some guys that can get after the passer. So I think defensively is going to be the strength. The question mark is going to be the man under the center.
Yeah.
Because you got some running backs coming back, man. You got some running backs coming back. Kobe Dillon's back. You got a stable of them. You got the playmakers on the outside too. Petrie and that bunch out on the outside, they're there. The question mark is going to be quarterback.
I like that schedule.
Yeah.
That schedule gives
I like y'all. I'm gonna say this: Jackson State's defensive line is top 3 in FCS.
Okay.
Because of that defensive line that Jackson State has,
they'll be in.
They have the ability to keep them in every game they go play. That is a spectacular bunch. Yeah.
He didn't get the notoriety of the guys coming off the edge, but the fact that you could not run on Jackson State,
yes,
he was right
there.
Just make sure I get my kicks on show. Black and old gold, you know what I'm saying?
Black and gold,
but
George.
Yeah, I had, yeah.
All right, so I got the update. 2016, Lenore Tillery was the preseason player of the year.
Okay.
However, the player of the year at the end of the year was from his arch rival in Devontae Kincaid.
Yeah.
Now that starts to make some sense. That makes some sense.
Yeah, so we got to go back to 2014 where we at least had a running back and at least be co-player of the year.
Will not be shocked if Grambling has a big year. You might see Miles Crawley take that on.
That's a good one.
I think he has the potential for sure.
I like him.
I think he has the potential for sure, BJ, but I also will say this, and this has got to be going off the last time I saw Grambling in action. That offensive line has got to find.
Oh, yeah.
What are you hearing and seeing in terms of Alabama A&M quarterback?
Once again, it's going to be a QB battle, quite frankly. Clearly, we saw some good things from the guy that started majority of the year this past year, but also we saw a quarterback who did not play a lot in the spring.
Okay.
As well, in the transfer from Jackson State. And there's another transfer coming in. So Coach kind of gave me the typical look. We might play multiple guys the first couple of weeks until we get to the game against Southern, which is, when SWAC starts for them, which is like in week 3. He doesn't want to do that.
Not coming to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, but here's your situation. You play Vanderbilt week 1, then you have Lane week 2 for the Lewis Cruz Classic. Then they hit the road to go take on Southern in week 3 to open up SWAC play, and then a short week the following week, Thursday night against Arkansas Pine Bluff. So either we're going to see a 2-quarterback system in Huntsville, or we're going to see a heavy dose of the running backs rolling until somebody can win some games at the QB spot.
I mean, our England folks are deaf. England are deaf.
Well, that's what he came when he interviewed him. That's what he told him.
Yeah.
He said, we going to lean on the run. He said, we got a bag.
England starts the season, he's easily a 1,200-yard back.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's true.
He can carry the whatever. So
great point.
He didn't really start getting.
And they got a secondary back behind them that can carry it too.
Yeah, they got a defense that people are sleeping on because everybody focuses what they do offensively. That defense was a little better than what most of us saw and thought last year, but a lot of that was based on the inconsistency of the offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zarion Hayes, defensive lineman who was named an all-SWAC selection preseason. All-SWAC selection last year, preseason All-SWAC this year. I think he'll probably be a box and roll All-American, at least on the watch list or whatever. He definitely brings a new line of things on that D-line for Alabama A&M that they have not seen in a number of years. And because of that, he's been able to kind of make the rest of that defense really, really go. So expecting him to get a lot of double teams, but that can open up some opportunity for the defense. But yeah, the A&M defense has definitely improved from when we saw it when the Quill Glass had to win every single game.
I got questions about that secondary.
We got a half circle here, so I don't know if we can go around the horn and it's somebody else's turn. But before we close, because I know we're running out of time, let's get everybody's closing thoughts, either on the season or today. Starting with you, we can go around.
All right, well, first of all, I'll say this. From a media standpoint, I was really excited to see the amount of media members that are here for two reasons. One, we can go ahead and say the Deion Sanders effect and whatnot, Coach Prime is not here anymore. But still to see HBCU, media outlets, and local television stations and radio stations. I think Dr. McCullough told me at one point he had counted like
225.
Okay, yeah, so 225 people were here.
Which was above last year's 200.
Yeah.
To actually cover SWAC Media Day in the time that we are. Here's another thing, too. For years, the SWAC Media Day has always been connected with SEC because they always in the Birmingham area. Usually SEC would be in Hoover, and the SWAC right here in Birmingham or whatever. Because, a lot of SWAC teams overlap with the media markets for SEC teams. Not the case. That was last week in Nashville. Spent 4 days up there or whatever and whatnot. Had some fun, but the situation's a little bit better. So to say that you didn't have that situation this year but still have all the
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm very, very impressed with that because that shows what HBCU football means to many individuals besides us sitting up here, but also what it can embark on for the future that'll help with other situations. So that's my take from a media standpoint. Clearly from football, hey, best man's going to win it. Let's go ahead and just line it up and see you in December.
There you go. Charles?
I'm going to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. The fact that every week there's going to be a HBCU game on television via
that's the one I was going to.
Or HBCU Go.
Multiple most weeks.
And the fact that this is already a fervent fan base that goes to games, but to just know that to understand eyeballs mean something, that's huge, and that's huge going forward. So that really stuck out to me just looking at the television schedule and literally looking every week like, wow, there's really not a need for me to turn to another channel to watch somebody else's conference. This conference that I enjoy, I love is, right here in front of me.
I love it.
Week out.
Brian?
I've said this a couple other times this last 24, 48 hours. Find me a team that has been the top offense and defense and lost over half of their starters, including their coach, and return the next season as a contender. That's hard to find. And I say that because, I'm fascinated with the folks that have Jackson State in their rankings to, the two people from Jackson State who voted for them in first place. But I'm fascinated by this belief that, yes, I know they've, at least on paper, the recruiting people say that they have the number 2 recruiting class. Great. I mean, okay. I'm just statistically, first 4 games of the season, toughest 4 games that any new coach could ask for.
I'm gonna help
with
you.
A new roster. I mean that is if he goes 3-1, man, I'm telling y'all gonna be there's a 9-win season in the bag coming.
Well, I think I said if Jackson State gets through the early part of the season, you don't want to. They get scary toward the back. If that thing.
My thing is only one of the games in the top part of the season counts though.
Yeah.
So they could be 1-2, and if it's the right one, they really getting good. The other thing I think that's tough on your question, I think that's true, and I think it's valid to ask that question.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the other part of that is who, other than FAMU, that I think a lot of people are picking, who outside of that are you comfortable saying that much better than Jackson State? Clearly.
I can't. Again. You're asking me. I can't. I'm trying to. Okay, yes. Look. I'm putting my colors to the side.
It's an easy question. Other than FAMU,
Southern.
That I'm looking at clearly.
I'm looking at statistics. I'm telling you.
Right.
The team.
It take a lot to ask that question.
As I have, and I know people are like, "Oh, Southern has played."
No, I'm not.
But we're on the opposite end. We're on the opposite division, though.
So that's not a problem.
And it's not a conference game.
And plus,
well, I know. Were you
the other part of
related
that
to division?
No, I'm just
Was
saying.
that a division related question?
I think you're fine. Let me get this part out. That's still just one team.
Yeah.
And if you cut in FAMU, that's two teams. So Jackson State literally could be better than everybody else. And it's not because there wasn't a lot of turning in question that maybe everybody else just ain't made that next step.
I just think I think folks are overthinking, over-evaluating loss.
I agree with you with the loss. I guess my point is I'm trying to say we asked the question, what are your question marks about the other team?
Yeah.
I think that's why people have a level of confidence in Jackson State. Not so much that they're concerned about what they lost. They're concerned about what everybody else has not answered.
Stuck with me. Sam Washington said, I believe at the first Celebration Bowl, he said something to the effect that championship DNA does matter.
Yeah.
And that DNA permeates that locker room.
Yeah.
So that's just another.
That's another little nugget. He gonna find a way to drop a nugget.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How many returners again? How many that championship DNA? How many
BJ, let's
returners?
move on.
Brian, we're gonna let you talk about that on Sunday.
No, I'm just
BJ, your thoughts.
Man, biggest thing like Mo and Charles said, man, just media day. Back to normal. It's refreshing and it's nice to see people that are here because of those three letters, HBCU and SWAC, the conference itself. So it's great to see that. And I think that we're in for an exciting season. I think that having this many games on television with the type of year that we're going to have is going to be instrumental of continue to grow in the conference. And we're going to start it off big. MEAC SWAC Challenge on ABC. On ABC. That's how you start it. And I think that the finish is going to be that much better.
No doubt about it. A.D. Drew.
Y'all talk about a championship pedigree. There's another team in this conference that has a championship pedigree and a championship coach, and we talked about them. That being Alcorn State.
Yeah.
Alcorn finally has a full home schedule. You can say what you want to. I think that is going to be a big factor, the fact that they have paid back all those games to everybody, and now everybody who's supposed to come to the reservation has to come to the reservation. And the reservation is not an easy place to play. Exactly. So I think that is going to be, you talk about Southern being that other team, Alcorn, who is on Jackson State's schedule, and it does count, is potentially that other game that could be scary for Jackson State. But right now, the word right now, this time of year, optimism. Everybody's optimistic. Everybody's 0-0. All the fans are excited. Coaches still have those butterflies because they don't know the answers to everything. And they won't know those answers week 1, week 2 in a lot of situations. And what you thought you saw from the spring or in fall camp, come week 4, may be totally different due to injuries, lack of production, whatever the case is. So just the excitement and fever about the season, because no matter what we say right here now, what's this, July 25th, come the third Saturday in December, most of this stuff probably ain't going to be right.
That is
a great
place to leave it, because that's true. But we want you to continue to listen. While we do what we do. With that being said, starting this stuff with the SIAC in Atlanta, group going to Salem with the CIAA, Norfolk with the MEAC, and then closing up here in Birmingham with the SWAC. I'm most excited about and proud of that I want to leave on everybody is what I call the Sporting HBCU Dashboard. It was on full display for this full month. And we saw it culminate here in Birmingham with everything that you all just brought to the table and said. And those that are in the background with Raymond Holly, Roy Evans, leading this ship in regards to allowing us to be parts of what's taking place. So I really wanted to put that on display in regards to what that means in terms of the HBCU sports culture. So I wanted to leave it right there and say, I just want to say thank you all. I announced earlier that I lost my grandfather last week. I'm not one that shares death with a lot of people, but the spirit that you gave me and didn't even know has allowed me to make it through this. And we will close out and bury him. He was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And that's why today I decided to put this on. This is our national week. But we also had our other sororities and Greek organizations having their conclaves, having their national conventions. And that is a part of this HBCU sports culture. So it goes a lot of ways and means everybody when you get the warm welcome in regards to what it means. And we start out, people don't know, we come in the day before. We get to really sit down and talk with each other, exchange greetings, if you would. And there's a true bond in regards to what takes place. Yeah, we kid each other, and we'll punch very hard, but it's done in a love manner that you don't always see with everybody that covers HBCU. So to put the final top on that, I wanted to say thank you for taking this journey with me. I wanted to thank the fans for taking this journey with us. And with that, you look forward to more coming the rest of this year. And we'll close it right there. We'll end it like we like to do on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Charles? BJ?
Lecture.
Everybody?
Dismissed.
Community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em! It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm. Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton, Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida. 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D. here. Appreciate all of you guys for jumping in and joining us. However, you're streaming the show on X via one of our pages, either the My BCSN 1, maybe the ONG Strike Zone where you're checking us out, on Facebook, on the Black College Sports Network, our BCSN SportsWrap page, our Jericho Broadcasting page, or maybe YouTube, via YouTube, my JBN, or our BCSN page. So we appreciate you tuning in however you are. We'll announce later this week our Black College Sports Network national champions, but fortunately I can say I'm pretty confident that the computers will be controversy-free with its selections. I don't think there would be much of a change at the top.
Let's see if the computers make Howard or Central number two. That's what I want to see when the numbers get ran.
I'll probably go the computer. My guess, the computer will make Central 2. Just a guess. I mean, who knows? But we'll wait to see. Obviously, so I mean the regulars. But when we last ended the poll, Benedict was 1,
Virginia Union was 2
right
at that level,
or on that level on the non-Division 1 side, and then FAMU was 1,
Central was 2,
Central
Howard was
2,
3,
and Howard's 3. I don't think that. My guess, I don't think that'll change. But again, we'll release that all. But on the field, undisputed year, 45 years to the day. That thank you, Tamara T. Appreciate the love. Appreciate it. 45 years to the day that Florida A&M won the 1AA at that time, later known as FCS.
1978
national championship.
I can't get no love, Tamara, for the jersey.
No.
Okay, just wanted to.
45 years to the day. I would have loved for I'm that guy. I see and think about all these things. I know FAMU went with the color uniform combinations that they started the season with: white helmets,
green top,
white pants. Notice the white stripe or the orange and green stripe on the side of the pants. So it wasn't just plain white. It was. I would have loved that they would have gone with the orange helmets. The orange helmets would have been, and so the orange helmets, green jerseys, white pants look is what we wore when we won the national championship 45 years ago. That's the only thing I would have loved to have
the same
seen,
combination.
The same combination 45 years ago. And those of us who are into uniform swag and pay attention to those little things, I know
the literal throwback.
Yeah, we would have loved to have seen that as well.
Let's also remember, I believe it was 52 years to the day, 1971, when Howard won the NCAA soccer championship, was also an anniversary from yesterday.
So something historic was going to be done in one
synergy,
way.
Yes,
there was going to be a little synergy thing in one respect. Yeah.
Yes, I believe that was 1971. It was 1971 and 1973 when it was an odd year.
It was an odd year.
It was an odd year, so I do remember that.
Other little the attendance at the game was
41 and some change.
Hold on, I just had it pulled up. 41,108 was the attendance. The game took 3 hours and 48 minutes. Good time for the game. I look forward to going back and watching it on the replay of the broadcast.
It watched me this morning.
It did, yeah.
Because it actually came on the U at I believe 5 o'clock this morning. I just happened to wake up and started watching. They cut it down to 2.5 hours on the replay. And like I say, I think it watched me till about the fourth quarter when I was conscious and actually started watching it from about 7 something on this morning.
Right.
Replay.
41,000, I think, is the third largest attendance. I think the last 2 years touched over 48 and 49. So this would now make 3 consecutive years that the Celebration Bowl has drawn 40 plus.
Yes,
which is great. There you go. You got a shout out, Drew.
Appreciate you, Tam.
So yeah, that's awesome for 41,000 fans to show 30,000 easily. I think
green and orange,
orange and green, yeah, for FAMU. And I hope that my hope from this game again is that in order for FAMU to continue to be champions, Rattler Nation has to invest and donate. You hopefully spent at least a moment, and if you didn't do it yesterday, hopefully they do it today.
Hey Brian, not to cut you off, but isn't that a speech for the OG Strike Zone?
I'm going to use this platform that I have right here in this moment, and I'm going to also tell Howard Bison fans, whatever, Howard alums, take that moment in that day. You should have, hopefully engaged and donated to your athletic department. I know Howard's got this great endowment that we always hear about. I don't know how that bleeds over into athletics. I don't. So I'm sure their athletic department's budget needs support as well. So I just hope the schools, Howard alums, FAMU alums, fans engage, even if it's the same dollar amount as the year in which your school was founded. Donate that money, that amount, that 1887, or when was Howard founded?
18
something. It was 18 something.
I don't remember.
All right. Anyway, 18 something in which Howard was founded. Spend that money, send that money into the coffers of your athletic department or your fundraising, so that way it shows up and pays out.
I'm also interested to see one other thing.
1867.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right. And Mary hit it at the same time that our producer Roy was telling us. But I want to see one other thing, Brian. I want to see the uptick in applications for both of these two fine institutions based on this, because we know every time a team goes to the Celebration Bowl, there's always an uptick in student applications for that institution, and obviously acceptance. But in order for these universities to be prepared for this uptick in applications and to accept these students, we have got to increase our level of donating, which is going back to the point that you were making there, Brian. We have got to support these two institutions. And like I say, I want to see not only the raw numbers, but the percentage of uptick.
Go one step further with that, Drew. How about making it possible for these students to live in dorms and on campus? Increase, housing.
That's one of those things that I was telling you. I'm talking about that
so
the money
you
needs
can increase. Look, the applications are great,
but you ain't got nowhere to put them.
If you don't have a place for them, or you can't create more class opportunities, what does it do then? Well,
you need the professors, you need the classrooms, you need the other support services, everything that goes up with increasing the numbers.
Take advantage of these opportunities, and sometimes it can be as simple as giving into. We'll get into later talking about the finances of this bowl and finding out how all of that works. I don't want to get into that today because but I think there is something. Yes,
online classes are fine. Online classes are fine, but the true HBCU experience is on campus. And one of the things is online does not bring the same type of revenue to the institution that a on campus student brings. But let's also keep keep that in the same perspective. It doesn't cost as much to educate a student online as it does to educate a student on campus. So it has its good and its bad with the online classes. But if we're going to offer online classes, we also need to have the support systems in place for online classes.
Right. And that CARES Act is gone there. So Blue Jacket for Life brings up a great point about the CARES Act that gave FAMU $99 million. That and a lot and a portion of that ended up going into athletics. That's not there anymore, to my understanding.
And not coming back.
Not coming back. So we have to find other ways. We have to create other ways. Okay. We'll talk. You know what? Next week's show, Christmas wish list. Our HBCU Christmas wish list. That's what we're going to. So a lot of this stuff you might hear next week.
And we're going to do our year-end show also, a wrap-up. We're going to talk about some of that.
We can try.
We'll get some of it out
with
the way.
Some of it we can try.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk coaching news. Coaching news this past week, because we only have a little bit of time left and want to make sure to get into some of this coaching scramble that's going on. All right. As going into the week, last week when you did the show, and great job, by the way, you, if I recall.
In the dark. in the rain.
Yeah, you, I saw Jamie, I saw Coach Ferrasi, I saw Trevin Jones. Who else joined you?
Keith.
Keith from Fangs Up podcast. Yeah, so shout out to everybody who jumped in.
See, it take 5 people to replace you, man.
Well, that's nice. So Teddy Keaton was the only coach at the of all the coaching openings that there were. He was the one that first. I don't know if we want to say the first big domino, but it was a domino. He was a domino in trying to figure out who was going to fill the Clark role. He left Allen University to go to Clark.
And then the weekend on Friday of the week before the show, that's when Chennis Berry took the job with South Carolina State. He took it on Friday. That was announced Friday afternoon.
But it became okay. But the press conference was
not until the following week, but it was announced on Friday afternoon that Chennis Berry was going to be the new coach.
Right. So
a week from last Friday.
And at the same time, I know South Carolina State announced their new athletic director as well, who's a South Carolina State alum. So when they did that press conference, I think it was Wednesday, they introduced a new AD, introduced Coach Berry. And so South Carolina State, that's a big win for them. I mean, they get their man. That's who they wanted. That's who they wanted, and that's what they got.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember back in October, I said that there was going to be one, if not 2 vacancies in Columbia, South Carolina at the end of this football season. Well, that has come true.
Bingo. You got that. You hit that one.
I hit that one on the head.
Also announced earlier in this week, Terrence Graves, the only man to win the Bayou Classic for 2 different schools, for both schools, was officially announced as Southern's head coach. Listen to the press conference, watch that. I am so curious, and I told Carlos Brown, and hopefully you got a chance to watch Carlos's show Saturday, because I know they got into talking. I think he maybe even had Coach Graves on the show yesterday. I don't know for sure, because I know
because we
were there for Carlos for a segment, and then we had to start getting ready, so I didn't get a chance to watch the last hour of Carlos's show. But I'm very interested, and that's an upcoming show. I'm giving y'all a heads up now. I'm gonna just do a podcast with him, Mo, and who else I said? BJ, because I want to understand Southern culture, because there were things that were said in that press conference that I was sitting there thinking, didn't y'all just have that with Eric Dooley? I'm like, y'all wanted Eric Dooley. The stuff y'all were talking, where did Eric Dooley go wrong? So look, you got your guy. They got a good. So the power of the fan base is maybe the big story at Southern. I mean,
isn't that the same thing that happened to
who
prior to Dooley?
Who? Yeah. Well, okay. That's a great, and that's part of the conversation. Yes, if that's what hurt Dawson Odoms, or even who was there was an interim the whole year.
Odoms,
Jason?
Because Odoms was originally a interim, if I remember correctly.
He was initially interim, then he became the full time. I can't even remember the coach who was there.
What
Jason something? He was there for a whole year.
Now, when was Thump Mitchell?
He was before Odom. But I mean, I just, you want to understand the culture of a program like Southern, and so I think that's what I wanted to kind of to learn more about. So I think it's just as much a project for me to try to understand Southern culture and just try to understand what they're looking for. But they seem to like Graves. They like Graves, and the players like Graves. They like the whole hat to the side thing, and it's like, hey, we got our guy. So okay, congratulations to Southern. They got a defensive guy. Cedric Pearl, former Alabama A&M assistant, former head coach at Central State. He is now the head coach at Allen University. He'd been an assistant at, forgot where the past couple years. Where was he coming from? Anyway, I forgot where Pearl is coming from, but he takes over at Allen University. Very, it's been a few years where he was previously in the SIC.
Yeah. And moving on to the next coach, here's the question. And this kind of goes to the Southern question. What has Fred done to Alcorn? Where the man won, what, 3, 4?
So
wait a minute. How many SWAC East titles did he win before Alcorn switched over? How many SWAC titles did he win before Alcorn switched over to the West? And how much support has he gotten in spite of him winning those championships? Now, he didn't get the big one. He didn't get the Celebration Bowl, but he handled his business within the conference until they switched sides of the conferences. But for some reason, people have not been happy with Fred in Mississippi. So
Fred McNair
is in Longmont, Mississippi, and now will he? Won't he? The wind is blowing him south.
I'm saying he's gone west, more so west.
Okay,
southwest.
Okay,
yeah, southwest.
So here's the thing: with Fred probably going to
Texas Southern,
yeah. Who now is the senior, and with Buddy Pugh retiring, because I think we've seen the end of a generation of the longtime coaches.
How long was Fred McNair at Alcorn? 9 seasons, including the COVID year?
I believe he was 14 or 16 when he took over. I want to say it was 14.
I think it was 14.
I've got it right here because I had it pulled up earlier. Let's see. Alcorn 16. Fred took over in 16.
Okay, so let's see.
Fred is the
8 seasons. 8 seasons.
Fred is the longest tenured coach in the SWAC.
Right. So he came in and won, and he's won championships. How many SWAC titles does he have under his belt as the head coach?
He won the 3, 4 in a row.
Yeah. Something like that. Well, they won the West 6 seasons in a row.
Right.
But I think the first 2 years.
Grambling won the SWAC the first 2 years. Then Alcorn won the next 4, if I remember it correctly.
Okay. Something of that nature. But
because Grambling was in the first 2 Celebration Bowls, then Alcorn went for the stretch up until the pandemic. There had only been 2 representatives from the SWAC, if I remember correctly, in the Celebration Bowl prior to the pandemic. Grambling, and Alcorn were the only 2 representatives from the SWAC in the Celebration Bowl.
You might be right. I mean,
prior to the pandemic.
Pull up the, I don't know. There's got to be a quick history thing you can pull up. But Fred McNair going to Texas Southern is huge from a couple of points here. I think potentially what that does in Houston, it's continually taking a step forward for Texas Southern. And if he takes that job, which by all accounts, it sounds like the money is going to be what he wants it. I don't think Alcorn may have come back later and being able to find the money that he wants. I know there was a big gap between what Fred wanted and what Alcorn was going to pay. I've also heard that there are donors who may want a change. What's the numbers there?
Alcorn went to 3. Grambling went to 2. Alcorn went to 1. Alcorn went to 1,
so
4, and 5. Grambling went to CB 2 and 3.
First Celebration Bowl was Alcorn, correct?
Right.
That was Fred McNair as the head coach?
Grambling went to that would not have been
that
McNair.
Was Jay Hobson as the head coach? Okay,
yes.
So then he took over
for
the next year.
Yeah,
and then that's
he went
when
to
Grambling came in and
won 2 in a row. Two
no.
SWAC championships in a row.
Won 2 SWAC championships in a row.
Right. Then Alcorn won the next 2
and then
SWAC
Fred
championships.
finally came in and won two SWAC championships. So, but I think Alcorn was in the championship game against Grambling, if I'm not mistaken.
Alcorn was in the championship game those years.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now you want to use this longest tenure at one school thing. So now that leaves Willie Simmons. I think you said who? Willie Simmons
and Connell Maynor.
Connell Maynor at one institution
in the SWAC.
But in general, at HBCU,
and I think the HBCU leaders.
I think if we go through the HBCU,
Trey Oliver would be the clubhouse leader with Buddy Pugh retiring in the BIAC.
Trey's only been there 4 years though,
and he's the clubhouse leader. Trey Oliver is the only head coach currently in the BIAC who had their job before the pandemic.
Wow. So that's amazing. But just think of that. That tells you the turnover. That tells you, I think, if anything, that shows you the impatience of fan bases. I think it also shows you the challenge that athletic directors are having to deal with, presidents as well, because nobody's waiting for the meal to fully cook.
They want to put it in the microwave. They don't go put it in the oven.
To rise. You want to put it in the microwave. You want to just go and get it store bought. You think that's going to do it? No, it's not going to do it. That's the challenge.
Right.
That's the challenge for all these schools.
Just quickly, since we're talking about them in the CIAA, Richard Hayes at Fayetteville State and Adrian Jones at Shaw 2016
same as Fred
lead the clubhouse
Fred McNair.
in the CIAA, and nobody in SIAC had their job prior to the pandemic. I'll just go ahead and tell you that.
All right, so as of me waking up this morning, the open jobs you had, Grambling, we'll talk about that as it appears they may have found their man. Alcorn is quote unquote not officially open, but we think it's open.
Going to open.
It's open. Benedict is open. Morehouse is open. Lincoln, Missouri is open. Speaking of Grambling, HBCU Sports reporting. I'm here reading an article from Ken Rashad. Ken says that Mickey Joseph is going to be named the new head coach at Grambling. Joseph is a former Nebraska interim head coach and a seasoned coach with extensive college football experience that he will be announced. That appears to be Monday. Is that when the official announcement will come at 10 a.m.? Joseph, who served as Nebraska's interim head coach in 2022, led the Huskers to a 3-6 record during his time. Ooh, and then there's some other stuff in here about some interesting. I'm just reading right from the article here. He was arrested and charged with one felony count of assault by strangulation last December relating to an alleged domestic violence incidents with his wife and was placed on administrative leave by Nebraska. Those charges were later dropped. Before his time at Nebraska, Joseph had significant contributions to LSU's football program, where he was part of the 2019 national championship staff. His coaching span of 3 decades includes stints at Grambling, Alcorn, and Langston University. As a player, he was a standout quarterback at Nebraska. He was a part of a team that won 2 Big 8 titles and appeared in multiple bowl games. So that is the expected hire. And this, again, is coming from HBCUsports.com, reported on by Ken Rashad. So, and then we'll wait to see what happens. We'll wait to see what those other jobs are. Anything you want to add more about the coaching search here before you shift over to basketball here in these final moments of the show?
I just want to throw out NAIA clubhouse leader for coaching tenure among HBCU coaches, Quentin Morgan at Langston, 2016. So 2016 looks to be the hot year for our coaching search right now, which means nobody will have been on their job for a decade once Fred makes that move. Well, even when Fred making that move, we still, with the retirement of Buddy Pugh, there's nobody who's been at their job for over a decade now.
It really, again, I think it really says something that you said nobody over a decade right now, nobody over a decade with Buddy Pugh retired. And then if you look at over 5 years, the list is maybe a handful of people.
Basically, you got 2 lists. You got pre-pandemic, post-pandemic.
Wow.
And the pre-pandemic is probably about a 3-to-1, maybe even a 4-to-1 ratio than the pre-pandemic coaches.
Wow.
And what also happened around the same time as the pandemic, that's when you also had the portal and NIL come in. And I think those may be the reasons why some of the old school coaches who did not want to deal with it got out of the business. And that's why you have some of these younger people who not only understand that, but social media and recruiting in this day and age. Because when you see coaches, lifers like Coach Freeman, who was at Morehouse, Coach Slater, who was at Tuskegee on the Division II level, you see a guy like a Buddy Pugh give it up. You see some of these coaches who've been with their programs forever and help build their programs giving it up. Maybe because either they didn't understand the new technology and the new way to recruiting, or did not want to deal with it and had enough put away and went to the farm and decided to go ahead and grow their own crops, as I like to say.
All right. Okay, so let's transition here a second over to basketball before we get ready to end this show. First off, I'm going to give a shout out to Coach Lavelle Moten, who on Friday became North Carolina Central University's winningest head basketball coach. On Friday, Central got a 102-50 victory over St. Andrews for Coach Moten's 252nd win to push him past Floyd Brown for the most wins in program history. Brown won 250 games from 1952 to 1970. I'm reading here this article here from Chris Stevens over at HBCUsports.com. Moten, of course, has been the head coach of his alma mater since the 2009-2010 season. And
if we get them in basketball, we don't get them in football.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Sidebar. Hurry up. We got to get out of here. We got 3 minutes to get. We got 3 minutes to sign off.
All right. So I'm just kind of looking here. Moten, of course, was a star for the Eagles under then coach Greg Jackson from 92 to 1996, scoring 1,714 points in 4 years and earning all CIAA first team honors in 95 and 96. And so congratulations to Coach Moten on making history. Okay, some news and notes. Let's go. Let's talk. I just want to, let me see. I'm going to go through just a roll call of things here. Division II men's. Let's talk men's first. Okay, men's basketball. Did you know, you guys out there may not have known, Benedict College. Benedict is undefeated right now, 10-0, 5-0 in SIAC, currently ranked 12th in the nation in Division II, according to the NABC coaches poll, ranked 16th. Ranked 16th in the media. So Benedict College, undefeated team. Their next game is not until January 4th. I think they just played a game the other day.
They played Miles on yesterday.
They played Miles yesterday to pick up their 10th win. Of course, you will be able to see all of Benedict's action upcoming in their next home game.
Defeated Miles 70-67.
Okay, I was like, what are you showing me? I see an L there. I was like, what is that? Benedict, of course, part of the Black College Sports Network broadcast group.
And Miles.
We're talking Benedict College here. Benedict, you'll be able to watch all of Benedict's
We got
games,
1 minute.
Their home games here. I'm not gonna get finished in a minute, so I'm just telling you that now. Because you filibustered in by talking about some other stuff. But anyway. So shout out to Benedict College. You'll get a chance to see them upcoming here. Also, from the CIAA, how about Winston-Salem, currently with the best record in the CIAA men's, currently 9-3, 3-0 in conference play. That's right. Conference play is happening right now in the CIAA.
On Division II level.
In the SIC Division II level. It's also happening at the NAIA level, where Langston University, our good friend, Coach Chris Wright, friend of the program, the Langston he's off to another unbeaten start, Coach Drew. He's 10-0 so far, 5-0 in conference play. Langston, I believe, started ranked 4th in the nation, the NAIA preseason.
I think they're up to 2.
The latest poll that came out earlier this week, December 13th, they're up to number 2.
Yeah, and their polls only come out every 2 weeks.
Yeah, the polls come out every 2 weeks. So they are still unbeaten. Their next game is December 19th. That is Tuesday. Versus LSU Shreveport in Fort Worth, Texas at 2:00. I think that might be some kind of shootout thing that's happening. It's not a conference game.
Yeah, because that's against that's a Red River Conference team, LSU Shreveport's in the Red River.
Okay, so it might be one of those crossover.
Yeah, which is where Xavier and all those Texas HBCUs are at.
Okay. Speaking of that NAIA poll, Xavier University found themselves in that poll. They're ranked 21st, and Florida Memorial found themselves ranked 22nd. Xavier at that time had a record of 6-1. Florida Memorial at that time when that poll came out had a record of 9-1. On the women's side on the women's side at the D2 or NAIA level, just a shout out to Fayetteville State. Big game happened yesterday between Fayetteville State and Virginia State. Fayetteville State came in with just one loss, 7-1. Virginia State was 9-0 going into that game. Notice I just gave it away. They lost. Fayetteville State defeated Virginia State 78-69 yesterday. So they gave Virginia State their first loss of the season after a 9-game winning streak to open. Fayetteville State now has an 8-1 record. Also, take note of Virginia Union. Their women are 9-2 right now, 3-0. So the CIAA women is going to be fun to watch at that level. Over in the SIC, take note of Kentucky State. Their women right now are 8-1, 5-0 in conference play. Miles women 6-1, 4-0 in conference play. And you'll be able to see Miles women right on the Black College Sports Network, as Miles is a partner school and will be broadcasting a lot of their games. Got to make a mention on the NAIA level about Maya Buchanan of Fisk University, who was the NAIA Women's Basketball Player of the Week this past week. The power forward recorded a double 20.
2020 game.
A 2020 game. And we were
and then she had a double-double, if I also remember that in her other game of the week.
Right. She had 26 points and 23 rebounds against Wiley College. Then she had a double-double, scoring 25 points and 10 rebounds. A traditional double-double. In all three contests. She posted a 57.1 field goal percentage on the week, added 6 blocks to her stat line, along with 1 steal. So congratulations to them. Last night was the Chris Paul HBCU Classic in Vegas. North Carolina A&T gets their first win of the season against Texas Southern, 85-79. A bit of a down year for the Aggies. I don't know what Texas Southern's record. Oh, yeah, Texas Southern having a bit of a down year as well. Well, who knows?
It's not conference season, though.
I was going to say.
Texas Southern, Prairie View,
I had to catch
come
myself.
Conference, one of them always going to be there.
Right, so this was a game where somebody was going to get their first win.
Remember, they came from 8 last year to win the doggone tournament.
Somebody was going to get their first win. It turned out it was North Carolina A&T. What was the other game that was? That was
Jackson State and Howard. That game watched me when I got back to the hotel.
Who ended up winning that ball game?
I said the game watched me when I got back to the hotel last night because it didn't start until midnight Eastern.
I think I saw Jackson State. Oh no, our girl Liv, Liv Antilla. I think she tweeted out Jackson State won that contest, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I did happen to catch her tweet about that.
And I know Dr. Cavill is live on location in Las Vegas today. As he went from Atlanta to Las Vegas to cover the Chris Paul Classic.
One thing in the men's basketball rankings, taking note of one thing here, Drew, in the SWAC, the conference RPI for the SWAC got as high as 24. It's now down to 25. So, we need to see some teams kind of stack up some wins here. If I can find the MEAC here.
So at 25, that puts us probably on the 15 line right now.
Yeah, the MEAC comes in at 30. So that's probably
that's first four.
Yeah, that's first four competition right there. Even though the MEAC really has won more conference games, but I think the nature of the wins from the SWAC teams has been considerably better.
SWAC has been a few Power Fives and group I guess we call them Group of Fives, or what do we call them in basketball?
I always go with Power Six.
Yeah, Power Six and bid majors. They've beaten other bid majors.
Over on the women's side, the SWAC conference rating for the women is at 12. It was as high as 11 last week.
Wow.
So 12. That's what would you say? That's about an 11 seed, wouldn't you say?
Well, divided by 4. That would be if you just went by conference, that would be that's 3 right there. But probably
the first 10 spots are usually first 10 rankings. 10 times 4, that's 40 teams. The first 40 teams are all your power and RPI, your power teams, right?
Right. Well, I was saying conference rate, that's probably going to get you, I don't know. You're probably right. You're probably in probably about a 5 line right there with that.
In terms of net rating, now the net is what's going to push somebody forward. Jackson State has a net ranking of 120. Arkansas Pine Bluff 157. The best record currently standing is Bethune-Cookman with, now I'm going to say this and people are going to be like, that's not their record. Against Division I opponents, Bethune-Cookman's record is 4-3, which is the best in the conference. Alabama A&M with a 3-4 record. But you've got only 3 schools within the SWAC are winless in terms of playing other Division I opponents. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. In comparison, the MEAC has a 28 conference RPI. Again, may have won more games, but when you go to quality opponents, and here, let me underscore this. How about Norfolk State? Norfolk State has a record against Division I opponents, and we're talking women, 7-4, but their net rank is 173. Again, what did I tell you? Jackson State's rank is?
They're playing those quad 4 games.
Yeah. Norfolk State 0-2 against quad 1 opponents. They are, and Maryland Eastern Shore is 5-5 against Division I opponents. They have a net ranking of 198.
Looks like no one has a quad 1 victory in the MEAC.
No. Did anybody have? Let me see. I didn't even look at that in terms of the SWAC women. Were there some quad 1 wins?
I'm just looking to see.
Quad 1 wins. No, there are none either for the SWAC, but I'm sure there's probably a couple of quad 2s.
Right.
Might even be some quad 3s. So what we'll do down the road here next week or the week after, we'll really open up the box and give you guys some more perspective on what those of you who aren't familiar with the net and how the rankings and seeding, because I think it's real important to, once we finish the non-conference schedule here in these next week or two in the SWAC and MEAC and even over in the OVC where Tennessee State is, we can really kind of talk about projections for these schools. Yeah?
Yes.
All right. All right, just a little bit of overtime, just a little bit over 2 hours, not too bad.
Yeah.
Let's get ready to get out of here.
Pick up the show and get out of here.
All right. Thank you. Bless you. Thank you to everybody and get me sick. Anyway, thank you to everybody who hopped in and joined us.
I got my shots.
You did. I did too. My flu shot, by the way. Thank you to everybody who jumped in and watched us. Again, on behalf of all of our shows and our host and our correspondents and our camera people, everyone who was a part of the Black College Sports team, I'm thankful for all of them, and I'm thankful for all of you for watching our content over these past 4 days, something like that, since Wednesday.
Hey, Brian, maybe about Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll actually release our numbers and see what our numbers look like. We'll wait till they register in to see what our numbers look like. I'm
not into all that, but okay.
You think we're gonna get 1 million?
We just throw some numbers out there and let y'all respond to them. I mean, hell, let's throw hey boss, let's put a graphic together and throw some numbers out there. I mean, hell, why not? I mean, everybody else seems to do it, and it kind of gets clicks and gets people excited and lathered up. So hell, why not? Why not we do the same damn thing? No, but for real though, we appreciate all of you. Go support. Take a look at the. I don't know. Did the boss ever run the banner with the ad promotion stuff in there? Okay, he did. So if you can, make a donation. You can also make a donation, a super chat right now, right here, right now. Go ahead, hit that super chat button if you're watching us on YouTube, or you can make a donation to our Square account or to our Cash App account. Every cup of coffee helps us keep this thing going. It will help keep the lights on in our new studio. So that part we
and
appreciate.
These lights are so hot.
The boss said, "Look for amazing new things," quote unquote.
I'll be glad when we get the AC running good up in here. I know it's the middle of winter, but with these new, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, but you're not in front of these hot lights either.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm not that hot. Look, if I'm not sweating, I must just be cool today. I don't know. I'm Rattler cool. That's all I'm doing. Hey, shout out to all of the people in the studio.
What up,
watching.
Kelvin?
Make sure to hopefully, Kelvin, you're tweeting not from driving on the road. Hopefully you made it home safely. It was a pleasure to see all of my ONG brothers in Atlanta this weekend. I'm gonna say one more big time shout out to Coach Simmons, the entire coaching staff, those players, the support staff, VP Sykes. Love y'all. Congratulations.
One more.
Your final word.
What up, boy? We did it for you.
Long live Kofi Hemingway, ladies and gentlemen. Well said. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Things up. A-Town down. We out.
Drop a like.
But you stay on hard.